Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Hey guys, hey, happy Tuesday. I love Tuesday because I get to talk to one of my favorite guests. Happens to be Miss Mary D, and I'll tell you about her, and I'll get her up in 1 second here. She is the creator, the founder of the MADLOVE agency. She's a in-demand public speaker. She fell in love with being an entrepreneur. She helps businesses. She will talk with the CEOs and tell them, how they can improve their business and different ideas. She talks to entire businesses. Just an incredible woman, an incredible person. She's the founder of the MADLOVE agency, like I said. She's got 2 branches, and she has an amazing topic today. But I want you guys to go to madloveagency.com. You can get more information there. Or if you want to call and talk to Mary D, you can call 631-730-7376, or get me or my producer on kcinstantfeedback@gmail.com. Your question comes in, we'll read it live on the air. Miss Mary D will respond to it, so you can sit back and tell me where you're from and your name. That's all. I'm sure you'll make it up anyway. But anyway, guys, with no further ado, it's the amazing Mary D. Miss Mary D, how are you today?
I am feeling good, Casey. If I was any better, I would be twins.
Mary D, can you kind of fill in the blanks for me, just like we always do? Just if people never heard your show before,
sure.
let them know a little bit about yourself and what your business does, because I'm sure I just touched on a little bit of it.
Yeah, no worries. I've been a business advisor for 2 decades now, and I help leaders make great decisions based on data while they create the systems, teams, and culture that align with their vision and mission for optimal impact. And that's what it's about these days. And this is where I'm working with CEOs, startups, even those folks that are scaling, that are a little confused about what strategy to use. They want to make good decisions. They want to drive results. I help them stop the frustration. I've got a plan, a program. It's called the CEO Accelerator, and that helps nurture leadership and efficiency in teams and culture. So this is for my folks out there who want to be able to take a week off of work without breaking their business. It's for my folks who want to operate proactively instead of reactively. They want to understand everyone's roles, responsibilities, who is doing what, who is owning what, who is driving what result in the business. They want to reduce their turnover. They want to increase retention. You know what? They want to just turn off their phone for a day and know that the team has it handled. Yeah. And I don't think that that's too much to ask. There's systems and processes that make that happen. And so it's removing all of those energetic blocks from your work and being able to do more of what you love. And that's really the bottom line.
Gotcha. Mary D, 2 quick questions before we get into your awesome topic today. One, do you work with small businesses?
Of course.
Okay. All right. So this is for everybody. This is not just for, she's in demand for the biggest, what do they call them, Fortune 500 companies, as well as she'll work with small businesses. So she just wants to help people. That's what she does.
For sure. Yeah, my heart is with the small business owner. What I would say is, if you're a startup business owner, then I'm probably a little too advanced right now. We can definitely give you some great, strategic instruction, help you with strategy for sure. But when it comes to the build and scale for your smaller startups, they move usually a little bit slower. So unless they're on a huge growth trajectory, like they really have their sales and marketing dialed in, and now their ops is breaking because they're like, oh, we're really good at selling this, but now we actually don't know how to duplicate this. 10 more customers is going to break us. Then they would come talk to me. So that's why usually companies in the 3 million and on up are going to benefit the most from my help.
I know you're high test. So the other question was, with things kind of opening up a little bit, are you able to go out and be available for speaking gigs now?
Oh, for sure. But I'll tell you what's really funny is I'm still booking so much virtually. And so virtually, I don't think is going away anytime soon. I think that a lot of companies who switched from having live events and have now moved into a hybrid model, or because they had to last year switch over to a virtual model, they like it. They like it. And they are finding that more guests can participate when they're offering that option. So I think that hybrid meetings are for sure going to be the wave of the future, where you're giving people both options so that anyone who is not ready to quite venture out, or in areas where that might not be as possible, then it's giving people the option to still be at home, but still enjoy the content, while you have the others probably most of my extroverts who are ready to hop into a room together, give all the hugs and all the high fives, and they just can't wait. So even for myself, I've been traveling this last month, and I've, been around people, and that's felt amazing to be back in a room full of people again, and super excited about that. So yeah, it's pretty half and half. I've got a couple invites to go to live events this last month, but was already booked. So I will do some stuff for them virtually, and I'm excited to be able also as a speaker to have that option. The fact that, like, if I can't show up in person, I still have the option of virtual. So that's actually been a really beautiful, like, surprise. I was like, oh, they don't just say no. They just go, okay, great, we'll move you to the virtual stage. And you're like, oh, that's even better. Awesome.
You know what?
Great,
I think you're 100% right, because I just looked at, I was thinking to get some stock in Zoom. I think it's $100 and something a share for one share.
Yeah.
So it's not coming down, and I agree with you 100%. Now, Miss Mary D, sometimes I think to myself, Case, if you were 25 years younger, what would you tell yourself that you didn't know then that you know now? And that was your topic for today, which is awesome. Can you talk to me a little bit about that? Because I think it's brilliant, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, there's so many ways we can swing this question. And I like this question because I believe it's a thinking question, right? So if everyone could pause right now and lean into that question, and I'll say it again, it's, what do you wish you could go back and tell yourself 10 years ago? 10 years ago. Think about what has happened in the last 10 years. And that part to me is, I think, a reflection of how much have you actually learned, or even reflected on your life in the last 10 years to go, wow, what did I learn? What can I unpack from all of the different things that have happened to me? I did a wonderful exercise with a good friend of mine named Barton Scott. He runs an amazing company called Upgraded Formulas. They do a hair analysis test to tell you, like, what minerals you're deficient in your body, because my body is different than yours. But he's, again, an amazing individual. And one of the things that he did for me is he has been taking these classes around, like, releasing trauma and NLP. And he did this exercise with me where we went back to my childhood, my first childhood memory that was actually negative. And right. And so this is a long time coming. The older we get, the more distance there is between those early years of our life.
Is this something you think about a lot?
No, it actually wasn't.
The exercise brought you back there.
But the exercise brought me there, and I instantly had it. And I was like, I got it. And so I share the experience with him. And as many times as I thought about this scenario, he did this beautiful thing where we looked at all the kind of characters in my story as if I'm outside of the story now looking at it. And we actually talked about, okay, yes, there's these series of things that were really negative, and I'll give you guys briefly the story. So, my dad never laid hands on my mom when I was a kid. This is my actual dad, who's no longer here anymore. He died a few years ago, but the one time he did, I never forgot it. And so they got into a big fight. It was right when they were getting divorced, and he hit her over the head with, like, the screen door, and my mom went down, and then my dad drove down the hill, and he motioned me to come down, and then he drove away. And then I'm only 4 years old. So I actually call my grandpa because I knew his number. My grandpa wasn't very helpful. And so there's all these different things to unpack. It's me watching like my mom and dad have their interaction. And so the question was, what was the learning? And I said, the learning was when people are angry, anger can lead to violence. And so the lesson for me is, wow, let's really work on peace instead of anger. And I think that that is actually something that from a very subconscious level took hold of me, which is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to learn that, wow, anger can lead to violence. And I think as a young kid, I was able to see that. And perhaps that's part of why that's not my inclination. Like I would say that it's a very few people in my life that can tell you a time where I've been truly angry.
I would
It's
think
just
so.
not really it's not one of those feelings, and it's not a bad feeling. We're human, we're meant to feel the whole spectrum,
Huh.
but it's just not a natural place for me to go. Whereas for some people, that's their first, their pain is really delivered in anger, and so that's how they're very quickly the space they go to, where it's just not mine. And so I think about that and I'm like, wow, what an interesting way to take this kind of traumatic experience that I definitely remember as a kid and create a learning experience out of it. And then also go back and say, what could a better scenario be? A better scenario could be two people that stop when they're angry, give themselves some space to reset and sit down and actually have a conversation over what's making them upset versus going into this big emotional blow up. And so it was really amazing because we actually took each piece of this story as it's happening, my interaction with my dad, even him going down the hill and motioning me to come and me being like, no, my mom is laying on the ground. Of course, I'm not going to come with you. And even me calling my grandpa and saying, hey, can you help? And him being like, no, like that was a weird, like, this is an adult who's supposed to be helping me and he's not helping me. So how do I unpack that a little bit? It was recognizing that he probably wasn't the right person for me to call at that time, but it's what I knew as a 4-year-old. And
I
then
noticed. I'm sorry, Mary. I don't mean to
yeah,
interrupt, but I got to ask. I mean, you are a doer. You're somebody who is proactive. I assume, probably take the world on your shoulders all the time. But you didn't in one time through that whole experience say, what could I have done better? Is that going back? Is that kind of retraining? Is that therapy? Is that just something you came up with? Why didn't a lot of people would say, what could I have done to help that
mm,
situation? Can you talk about
yeah.
that?
Yes, for sure, for sure. In this situation, one of my lessons was, as a child, I don't have to take that on. Like I don't have to take responsibility for that. And that is the learning, right? Think about all the things. And ladies, I'm especially talking to you, especially to the mamas, because I feel like they definitely do this more so than anyone else that I see in my circles. But we take on all the things as if we're supposed to, as if that is just part of being who we are. And there are certain things that just aren't necessarily ours to take on unless we decide to make them the thing we take on. And so it's that story we tell ourselves that we have to do it all, that we have to somehow figure all of this out without support. And so this was that amazing situation. And so the last piece of that story is my brother comes home at the last minute. He forgot his shirt for work. So his timing was impeccable and supernatural in that he would come home and I can't pick my mom up. I can't help her. He scoops her up in his arms, puts her in the truck, and we drive off to the hospital. And that was, again, the learning is, hey, sometimes it's waiting for the right support to show up. And in life, sometimes that's what happens. And that was that moment. And so that shows me like why I'm so bonded also to my brother. I can depend on him, and I know that, and it's a truth. It was a truth then, and it's a truth now. And there's just these beautiful lessons that give me a whole new perspective on this very traumatic type thing that could be very damaging for a child that young. but instead it's able to look at it in these beautiful ways that lessons go. And so that one is obviously more than 10 years ago. But what if we took all of these experiences, the ones that we're having such a hard time with, the ones that are heavy on our heart, the ones that are heavy on our mind and our shoulders, the things that keep us up at night, and how about if we take those stories and we unpack them for the lessons that can happen? And what if we reframe them and say, what if things had been done differently? What would I have liked to have seen done? If it was going to happen differently, what would have been ideal? And I think that those are great things to have a little mind gymnastics over, because it gives our brain perspective. And a lots of times that perspective really opens the door to healing. It opens the door to just letting our heart rest for a minute and not feel like we do have to do all the things or take on all of the baggage that can come with that stuff. Like, this is where support is important. This is where sharing is important. And also unpacking these situations and ways that we see things in life to get a new perspective, so that we can move forward and move forward powerfully in a way that just feels good.
I think that's awesome. And thank you very much for sharing. I can see, I know, Mr. Producer, I know you have, it's going crazy over there. I can't see exactly what they're writing, but I do see them pop up, the instant feedback. I'm blind, you know that. But I see that the strength in women, just because I see it in my mom to this day. You know,
Mm.
I believe that you guys are, you have a higher pain threshold than we do. You are problem solvers. You guys, man, you know, my opinions aside on how much I admire women. I just want to say thank you for sharing that. And it's a great perspective to think of what you just said. I'm going to think about that while we got the next instant feedback. That was really a cool thing to think about.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's why I said I thought it was a good topic for today, and something that everyone is going to be able to really benefit from. You know, whether you're dealing with something in work or whether you're dealing with something in life, this is such a beautiful way. And also, as if you have children in your life or you have special people in your life who are dealing with things from maybe back from when they were children, or even if your kids are dealing with a current situation, like, there's a beautiful way to actually open the conversation and talk about it instead of making anyone feel shameful about it or making them feel bad that something happened. And I think that's the important part, is how do we also talk about these things? Because so many times, when I think through those childhood type things that people go through, they didn't feel supported because no one wanted to talk about it and because no one knew how to talk about it.
Right.
And so how do we change that stigma so that people can go, wow, I'm really human and I have these human emotions and this is real life messy stuff that happened to me, but I don't have to carry it alone. And that's how the healing can really begin. And let's let that start. You know, let's encourage more healing versus this go hide out in shame. Don't talk to anyone about this. Keep it bottled up, because your body is not going to forget. You're just going to stuff that energy down somewhere.
Yeah,
and
that's to turn into depression, anxiety, all that stuff. Yeah.
yeah.
Mr. Producer, you got an instant feedback. I know a lot of people want to talk. You got a lot of fans, so let's hear what they got to say.
Yeah, we have instant feedback from Greta. I believe she's in New York. And she goes, last show, I believe you said you were making six figures in your 20s. Was it scary being that successful at such a young age? And what did that teach you?
Great question. It was super fun. It was super fun. That's the first thing I'll say. And it was definitely life-changing. It set the standard for me in terms of understanding what was possible, by having that so early on. And obviously, you guys heard me talk about the story about, buying my mom a house. That was obviously one of the biggest,
cool.
best things that could have ever come out of that.
Awesome.
That still warms my heart today. And like I said, my mom's got an emotional attachment to the house just because of it's been so long. And I'm like, wow, she's been in that house a really long time. But it meant a lot. It meant it for me meant being able to overcome my circumstance of not growing up in a home that was wealthy or that knew an income like that. So that made such a difference. And it made such a difference for my family. Like I could help contribute to like my nieces and nephews if they wanted, money for college and didn't have it, like being able to pay for school, being able to take them on vacations, because those are things we didn't get to do a lot of. It was always my friends' families taking me on vacation as a kid, because that was just not something that we did. We couldn't afford it. So being able to pay it forward in that way was a really beautiful thing. And it was truly, life's about creating experiences, and you can do that obviously without having lots and lots of money. You can still have staycations, and you can still make picnics and beach days and stuff like that. But to be able to take the kids to different countries and explore with me during a time where I know they're going to create wonderful memories with Auntie Mary, that's what I wanted to do, and that's what we got to do, and it was really bonding and special.
That's awesome. I love hearing about making memories like that. Okay, thank you for that question. And Mr. Producer, you got more instant feedback. I can't read it, but I can see that there are a bunch that came in there. I got to get glasses, Mary.
They make optometrist office for that, Casey.
I just buy a bigger TV.
Oh, there you go. There you go. I love it.
What you got, Mr. Producer?
Other than coaching,
Other than coaching, this is
oh, I apologize. I had to clear my throat. Other than coaching, have you ever ran your own business?
Yes, absolutely. So this is where in running business, coaching is.
Dylan, you haven't heard the show, have you, Dylan? I'm not making fun of you, but you haven't. Do you know who she is, Mr. Dylan? I'm not making fun of you. I'm just saying she's top of the food chain. And
I apologize for cutting you off, but Dylan from Seattle asked the question.
Yeah, no worries. So this is the thing is, no question is a bad question. It's okay if you're new.
Kind of was.
And you're tuning in. It's all good. Yes, for sure. And I'll tell you what's been really beautiful about running my own consulting firm is that it has allowed me to actually sit in other businesses. And that's what I love. And I've been able to be a part of many of them. So one of my models, especially for those younger startups that wouldn't be able to afford the fees, as we do a percentage model. So I come in and work with them and they pay me a back-end percentage on what we do. And so that's how that can become affordable for companies that are more startup, especially if they are a products-driven company and really need to be able to put their money into manufacturing or getting out, their next batch of XYZ. So I make that really, really easy for people. And that's brought me lots of great businesses that I get to play in and be part of and create some ownership around.
Wow. So you know what, Dylan? Was it Dylan?
Yes.
Dylan, I apologize. It actually was a great question.
It was a great question.
We just got to find out that you will actually do that. You'll come in and you'll actually, does it take a lot of time to take a percentage of it? But I assume, knowing you, that you'll put in a lot of time there. How many of those can you put on your plate at one time?
Yeah. So Casey, it's about systems and processes, right? And systems and processes and the right people. And so from a strategic level, I really want to help a business maximize their automations. I want to help them maximize the actual people that they're putting in seats to do the work. Too many times we've got, especially with new businesses, we've hired our three cousins to handle customer service and all those things. And God bless them. There's probably some work we can give them, but you could put one really stellar person in that role who will just, take you to the moon and back, who's super savvy at what they do and excellent at their work. That will cost you less, bring you more. And that's really what I'm seeking to do, is help optimize. And at the end of the day, there's so many amazing mission-driven businesses out there that as we kind of move into this new era of business, it's for sure about impact. And so how are we making that positive impact in the world? I'm certainly someone who is past the the time in my life where I'm just doing it for some certain level of ROI or a certain level of
This is passion.
investment.
This is all passion.
Yeah, there's so much passion that's what's beautiful. And that's what I want people to know, is that you can have both, and even if it's not, it's so funny. I'll meet people who are like, yeah, I'm running, this X health company and we love it, but it's like, I'm burnt out. I'm tired of telling people to, lose weight with XYZ. And it's like, okay, well, there's a couple things you can sell that. And then move into a company that you're more passionate about. You can decide to pivot, meaning maybe your messaging around maybe it's not even weight loss, it's helping people improve their self-esteem through body transformation, right? So just like think of how much better that feels than, oh, this is just another diet and weight loss. But no, it's a transformation, and you're going to transform your mindset and your body at the same time. Like, who doesn't want to be on board with that?
Yeah, right. And I think that's so awesome. And I think maybe it just put it in the back of your head, and I'll talk to my producer about it. But maybe we should do a show about, look, here you are. I mean, you're going to work with the CEOs of Coke or Pepsi or something like that. And then you're going to help people who are just starting out by taking the percentage. That's probably why, I mean, it's just passion. That's why you're so excited about what you do, and you have such a positive attitude. It's really cool. I'd love to talk to you about that. But we are out of time, as I'm being told here. But Mary D, guys, I want you to go to madloveagency.com, and you can go on there. You can find all the information that you want. Mary D, you're an awesome guest. I love hearing what you have to say. I'm so tuned into what you're saying. And then, as my grandmother used to say to me, I'll just say Mary D. You just say, okay, you have the floor. So you have the floor.
Thank you. So I just want to remind everyone that, today's topic, I hope that you'll let it sit on your heart a little bit, and that you will rendezvous through your mind about what you've learned over your lifetime, over the last 10 years, over the last year, because this has been a wild year for everyone. And I hope that you'll dig deep and find the lessons and the beauty and the healing. That's what I wish for you all today, is tons of healing. And for any of you out there that want to indulge in the CEO Accelerator framework, I've got that available for you, and you can opt in over there at madloveagency.com. And I'll see you guys next week.
Mary, you're awesome. Guys, we'll be right back. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, I mean, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.